We've had another allergic reaction this morning. I think it was anaphylaxis. The paramedics thought it was a severe allergic reaction. She had her oral immunotherapy milk this morning, and about 30 minutes after having that dose, she starts coughing. And cough is one of our initial symptoms. She said her tummy hurts, she starts coughing, face got a bit blotchy. So I gave her antihistamine, 5 mils of that, literally within 5 minutes of seeing her like that. Then gave her 2 puffs of her inhaler because she was starting to wheeze. She usually gets a tickly cough and then a persistent cough, then it turns into a wheeze, and I caught it really early. I did it within literally 15 minutes of everything starting. So I gave her 2 puffs of that, called 999 because I knew it wasn't gonna get any better once we get into that cycle. Had the Jext pen in my hand ready. I wanted to do it because obviously it was affecting more than one system in her body, but she wouldn't let me do it. She's scared of the needle staying in there for 10 minutes, and we have got an agreement with our pediatrician. She can now move on to EpiPen, which has to stay in for 3 seconds instead of 10 seconds. So she wouldn't let me do it, and I didn't want to start doing it until she was settled, because you do get needle injuries with that and children moving. So I wanted her to settle down and let me actually do it, be physically ready. And equally, I didn't really want to traumatize her. I wanted her to say, yes, I'm ready, and stay still. But we didn't get there. Luckily, the first responder turned up really quickly within about 5 minutes of my call, and I was still on the call when they turned up, so I hung up to 999. And the first responder came in, did all of the checks, checked her oxygen, checked her blood pressure, checked her lungs, and she didn't think she was wheezing. So I don't know, maybe the inhaler got in there really quickly. And they just stayed with us for about an hour just to see how she would get on it. And I forgot to say, she did come out with spots. So I say spots because it's not quite hives. She doesn't get covered in hives everywhere. She will get individual spots. Like she had some on her arms, she had some on her chest, a few random small ones on her back, but they were like, I couldn't tell if they were scratch marks. And then the paramedics said she had a few on the side of her face and her neck, which I couldn't see because it was the other side to me. So after the antihistamine and inhaler, all of that settled down. And they made me sign a couple of bits on their system saying, first of all, it's okay for them to share their summary with the GP, and then to say that we've come up with a management plan at home, which I signed, and she seems a lot better. I mean, it has calmed down. So now I need to look up the stats of anaphylaxis resolving on its own, and because I did speak to the paramedics, and they say, the usual cases of anaphylaxis that they see involves some sort of swelling within the airways, like the lip swelling or the tongue swelling, and that's what causes the breathing problems. Whereas with my daughter, we don't get any of that. She's never had any swelling anywhere. Her main symptom is coughing. So they almost didn't believe me. Then I have to explain previous anaphylaxis, and they did look it up. on their little portable computer system that they carry that yes, she did have anaphylaxis previously, and her oxygen levels were quite low, and she did have to have oxygen given to her, and a nebulizer. So hopefully they did believe me, but it does feel like they don't believe you and they don't think it's anaphylaxis unless it presents in this certain way. They were lovely. They were really nice crew. They kept her busy. They chatted to her and just played with her. When I say play, like had some bubbles, made some bubbles for her. So that was really nice. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know your child best. I know mine best, and I think that was anaphylaxis averted. So if you are doubting yourself in any way, get the medication in there. I was literally ready with the Jex, with the adrenaline pen in my hand. The only reason I didn't do it was because my daughter was saying, no, I don't want it, I don't want it. And I didn't want to, first of all, traumatize her, because we are likely to need that again. And second of all, I didn't want her to move while I was administering that. Learning points I would recommend is, and that's really useful for the ambulance crew, is take a note of when you administer medicines, because it really helps them. So I knew exactly what time she had her dose. I knew exactly what time I gave her the antihistamine and the inhaler, and then they ask it over and over again because they have to fill in certain bits on their computer system. Yeah, so definitely take a note of the times that you administer things, and keep a little notebook, which is what I do. I write everything down, so if they ask questions like when was the last anaphylaxis, then I was able to go back in there and like, when did we call an ambulance before, and what that presented like. So it's really good to have all of those details to hand. And I take this little notebook everywhere. Every time we have anything to do with healthcare system, it comes with me, and I jot things down. And especially if I've got questions, I will write those down in there, or if they've made any recommendations, because my memory is not great, and it's been a great aid to me. But if yours is better, still it's good to have all of that ready when they ask questions, because they're less likely to doubt you. Yeah, and I hope you get some sort of learning from this. This is really fresh for me. And the way I'm going to cope with this is I'd made plans to go out tonight, and I'm going to do that. I'm now entertaining the little one for a little bit. If you've got any questions or anything, drop me a line. I'm happy to answer. I am not a medical professional, but I'm a mum whose child had anaphylaxis. This was number what? 6. Yeah, yes. This was number 6. All right. I'll try and keep a video diary, because it does help me, if nothing else. Even if this doesn't get published anywhere, it helps me.